Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us again. And I'm Linda Clinard and happy to be with you. And I love that we are sharing everyday literacy fun at home. So you can find activities that you can do at home that are fun and children are learning about literacy. And I am grateful that I'm still learning from my family, my 3 children and our 6 grandchildren. And the activities that you'll see today are things that they've done with me and many others have. I look forward to sharing the keys to literacy, some things that influence it, and then reading a book, but the books are going to be special today because we're going to be reading funny poems. Look forward to going on. And let's take a quick peek at what we did in weeks 1 and 2, and you'll be able to see more by going on the OC Reads Orange County United Way Facebook page. So you'll see the whole videos there. And week 1, where I introduced myself, my family, and that we shared an activity called Sentence Scramble after we read a silly book called the Pudgy Peekaboo book and the Come With Me book. We did questions before, during, and after. And we also did a sentence scramble with a very long sentence, and then did this story map. You'll see it all if you look at that video. And then in week 2, we looked at another key to literacy, or we reviewed the first key to literacy, that was literacy is more than reading and writing. And we remembered that influences on literacy, that children will want to read more and write more if we look at what influences them. And attitudes and interests are one of the key things that we saw. Russell has loved anything with wheels on it since he was little, our grandson. Then last week we read books that were we call nonfiction or information books. One of them was about shapes, and I introduced an activity, picture it, so you could draw as you're listening. And then silly nonfiction book about if you hopped like a frog, how far could you go? Wow, remember it was all the way 1 hop to first base in a baseball game. And the game we played with that was word speed up, taking words, putting them down, and timing to see how fast you could read them and take them away. And then we did something called the I Know Grid. So look at what we did by viewing the videos from the last 2 weeks. Thank you for coming this week. And each week we look at themes from my book that I share, some keys to literacy and some influences that I just shared what we did the first 2 weeks. But here's one we did introduce a little last week, and it's everyone has literacy strengths. We know that literacy is listening, speaking, thinking, reading, and writing, and different ones have different strengths. Russell loves to listen into earphones, and some are really good listeners. He loves to speak, even as he's on a farm, he likes to go in and talk to his animals, and that's speaking. And thinking, there's Cohen and Maddie, brother and sister, thinking about something they're hearing, watching, or doing. And there's Hazel reading to her baby sister, Hannah, because reading, it's a real strength for Hazel. And writing, Dashiell is almost 4 years old, but he's so excited that he's learning to write his name. So those are literacy strengths that you could have, and we want to always remember to stress a child's strength, stress anybody's strength, and nurture a need. That means help them, guide them along the way. And don't look at it as a weakness, but as a need. Something we also want to remember is things that'll influence children are whether they can see clearly. We're glad that Maddie found out she needed glasses. Do they hear clearly? Are they eating and sleeping well? And what kind of fine motor or gross motor skills, like when you play sports, gross motor skills. Those are important skills that help children become literate. This is the key or the idea number 3, key 3, that we want you to remember that literacy requires us to become involved and use words for many purposes in many ways, and involvement helps us become literate. Have any of you been to Pretend City Children's Museum in Irvine? So much fun and so many ways that you can involve literacy by pretending going on a farm and picking fruit that they have there, or going to the grocery store, or being the checkout person at the grocery store. And they even have a cafe and so many other things that make literacy real in everyday life. Now we're going to be reading some fun poems and doing some activities with those. We're going to start by reading some fun poems from a book called The New Kid on the Block by Jack Palutsky. This was a favorite of our families for many years. And as I read a poem to you, I want you to maybe get some crayons or markers and some paper, and we can do an activity called letter art, because I'll be reading poems that have the sound B, B, as we hear in bicycle, or bouncing, or a baby. So when you hear words that start with the sound and the letter B, you can draw pictures around a B. And then there's the letter C. We're going to be reading some things that have letters K, that have the letter sound K, as in cow, or cat, or crow. And we'll be showing you that you can make those by making a letter C, and you can either cut pictures out or draw pictures around that, or the letter B. Here I cut out a picture of a bike, and you could be doing that as you listen to the poems. So as you listen, you can make some letter art. Are you ready? Let's listen to this one. It has a lot of B's in it. My baby brother. There's the baby brother. My baby brother is so small. He hasn't even learned to crawl. He's only been around a week, and all he seems to do is fall, cry, and wiggle, sleep, and leak. Do babies do that? They wear diapers, but sometimes leak, don't they? Did you think about anything to draw a baby or brother? Yeah, those start with B, don't they? Let's read one that has a cow in it with the cow sound, the C. A cow's outside. A cow's outside is mainly hide. That's what they call it. Undoubtedly, this letter retains a cow's inside and holds it all together. So that's what the cow's skin does that they call hide. That's right. Did you draw a picture of a cow? Or you can find a picture. Let's read one more from Jack Palutsky's book and see. This one's a little longer, but I showed you that picture of a bouncing mouse. Well, that's what this is all about. It's a poem called Boing, Boing, Squeak, Boing, Boing, Squeak, Boing, Boing, Squeak. A bouncy mouse is in my house. It's been here for a week. Oh, it bounced from out of nowhere, then quickly settled in. I'm grateful that it came alone. I've heard it has a twin. Wow, 2 of them? It bounces in the kitchen. It bounces in the den. It bounces through the living room. Look, there it goes again. Now, are you drawing about a bouncing mouse? It could be bouncing in a kitchen or all of those different places. Boing, boing, squeak, boing, boing, squeak. A bouncy mouse is in my house. Oh my, it's been here for a week. It bounces on the sofa, on the table in the bed, up the stairs and on the chairs, and even on my head. That Mouse continues bouncing every minute of the day. It bounces, 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 but it doesn't bounce away. Boing, boing, squeak, boing, boing, squeak. A bouncing mouse is in my house. It's been here for a week. Whoa. I wonder if it's a toy mouse. What do you think? Have you been drawing where that bouncing mouse is on your B letter art? We're going to read another. Now let's hear some fun poems in a book called A Light in the Attic by Shel Silverstein. Get your drawing letter art ready. We're going to hear B words, B, and we're going to hear C words. So let's see what this silly poem is about. Oh, it says the sitter. Mrs. McTwitter, the babysitter. I think she's a little bit crazy. She thinks a babysitter's supposed to sit upon the baby. Is that what a babysitter's supposed to do? Oh no. But if you want to draw a silly babysitter, you could draw her, or you could draw a sweet little baby. Yes. And then there's the prayer of a selfish child. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my toys to break. Why? So none of the other kids can use them. Amen. That's why it's a selfish child. He doesn't want anybody to play with his toys, that naughty boy. Now, we're gonna see if we can find one or two more that might have a C or a B in it. I'm gonna see. Yeah, I think this one does. It's called examination. I went to the doctor. He reached down my throat. He pulled out a shoe and a little toy boat. Boat. He pulled out a skate and a bicycle seat. Oh my goodness. And said, be more careful about what you eat. Do you think he really did eat those things? And one last poem. There was bicycle and boat. Those were B words, weren't they? And one last one that definitely has a C word in it, and it's the lost cat. We can't find the cat. We don't know where she's at. Oh, where did she go? Does anyone know? Let's ask the walking hat. See the kitty's under that hat walking away. Now we're going to read another set of poems and introduce another fun activity you can do. Well, now let's read another poetry book that has some funny poems in it. It's by Jeff Foxworthy. Jeff Foxworthy is a comedian, and somebody challenged him to write a book with some funny poems for children, and he did. So, he is illustrated by Steve Bjorklund. Now, why do I have these paper bag puppets sticking out? Because we're going to do an activity. While I read these to you, think of a silly puppet you could make that could maybe tell jokes or tell the poem back to you to make people laugh. And that activity is called joking around, making puppets that match some things that make you laugh. Well, let's see what could make us laugh. Here's a kitty puppet. Let's find, oh my goodness, it says a lost hat. And there's a cat on his head up there, so cat with the letter art that we did earlier. But now if you want to make a silly puppet, you can make it out of anything you hear here. I lost my favorite hat. I don't know where it's at. I look around my room. I look beneath the cat. I looked beside the bathtub. I looked under the sink. Where did I leave my hat? I tried and tried to think. I thought I might have left it by the TV in the den. It wasn't there, so I went back and checked my room again. About to cry, I found my mom. I lost my hat, I said. She smiled and said, I found it. It's sitting on your head. Could you make a funny puppet out of any of the things you heard? I hope so. You'll see my granddaughter made one of the kitty cat. She enjoyed doing that. Yes. Well, let's listen to another one. What other poem could we do? Oh boy, here's one, another one with a cat. Wow. And my granddaughter Maddie said, please Grandma, find as many as you can with a kitty cat, because they have a little cat named Emma. Well, there's the staring contest. I am staring at my cat. He doesn't bat an eye. He's not blinking at all. Watching me, watching him, the seconds tick by. 10 come, oh wow, tears come to my eyes. I'm going to have to think. He smiles, a silly cat smile, and then gives me a wink. That silly cat. So, okay, cat things are fun to do. And what else could we do? Puppet. You could do a puppet of a turtle if you want to hear this hide and seek. We caught a turtle down by the creek. His shell is bumpy and gray. He doesn't mean to scare anyone, but when we get near her, her head and her legs go away. Oh my goodness, where do they go? Yes, under the shell. You're right. And let's read this one. Spare hair. Salamander sitting there. There's the salamander. Salamander has no hair. His friend, the bear, has hair to spare, but bear won't share, and that's not fair. And look at what my grandchild did, a bear puppet. Do you want to hear one more or two more? We'll see what we have time for, but this is one my children love because they love their cousins, and their cousins can be a bit silly. And I'll show you the paperback puppet in a minute. My cousin Boris sings in the chorus. He sings way off key, and he's loud. With a plug in each ear, his mom and his dad cheer for their son of whom they're proud. My cousin Lizzie makes me so dizzy, she never stops spinning around. Wow, she once spun so long, her balance was gone, and she couldn't get up off the ground. Well, my cousin Lenny is really tall and skinny. Wow, it's hard, but he never complains. If he grows much more, he won't fit through the door, and his hair won't get wet when it rains. Wonder why? He gets covered. My cousin Jessie is really quite messy. Can you imagine making a puppet of that? With stuff dripping off of his chin. The food on his face looks so out of place. Look at that food. There's more on the outside than in. I don't think he keeps very much in. But look at the cousin that my kiddos did, and they even cut it. But they said, I have a very cute cousin, don't I, Grandma Linda? And I agreed. Well, I enjoyed reading some fun poems to you. And that last poem we read was called Cousins. And the book, remember, was by Jeff Foxworthy with Steve Bjorklund as the illustrator. Well, in my book, Family Time Reading Fun, you will see that there's an activity called Poetry Flower, that you can fill out this flower, and it looks like this in my book, but it was fun to make a big one here for you so that you can think about what that favorite poem was all about. Why do you think the author wrote the poem? Well, I'll tell you why. With so many children, when they hear poems like that, I think, Jack, that Mr. Foxworthy wrote that poem to make people laugh. Do you think so? Because that wasn't the usual kind of cousins, right? To make people laugh. That is what he wanted. And to think about family. Yes. That even family members are people that can keep us smiling. Well, what else could we do about the poetry? What feelings did I have as we read it? Well, I know that my grandchildren say they had very happy feelings because they loved to be together as cousins, and it made them so happy to think of their family. And what are there are 3 or 4 new words I learned from the poem. Well, I'll tell you a few of the ones that our children that many children have told me. In that poem, there was, in the first word, the first line, there was the word chorus. They sang like a chorus. And there was also, remember that little girl that was spinning around, and she had trouble keeping her balance, didn't she? And then that little boy was very messy, wasn't he? And then we could think of a lot of others, but I'm going to let you think, what could they be? But there was one long word that we heard that said somebody complains. And you can always go back and look what that is. How did the poem help me think about rhythm, rhyme, and other fun ways to write? Maybe I thought of fun ways to write about my family. Cousins are such special members of the family, aren't they? Well, thank you for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed joking around. Another activity in my book that reminds me of the joking around, making the puppets, is laugh it up. Find some jokes that you can tell people. And I have some knock-knock jokes that if you let us know, I'm happy to share them with you on Facebook. But here's an example. Knock, knock, who's there? Canoe. Canoe who? Canoe, come out and play with me, please. So these are just little jokes. Knock, knock, who's there? Who? Who? That's what an owl says. So I've got silly jokes that you can tell, and you can do them with your puppet because it's fun. Well, we are so grateful that you were with us today for Everyday Literacy Fun at Home, and we hope you stay with us. And as you watch this or view this video, please be sure to comment on Facebook so that you can be entered into a raffle, and you would be getting a copy of my book, either English or Spanish, which you prefer, and a book bundle from O.C. Reed's Orange County United Way. And we look forward to seeing you next week.